The air in St. Mary's Hospital froze. The beeping monitors, the smell of antiseptic, the sterile lights, everything seemed to hold its breath. On the bed lay Lily Morgan, 19, daughter of Edward Morgan, the millionaire owner of Morgan Tech Industries. Her skin was pale as snow, her breathing shallow, her heartbeat faint. A rare genetic heart disorder had struck suddenly, and cruelly. Edward stood frozen by her bedside, his expensive suit rumpled, his tie loose, his world collapsing. Money, power, private jets, none of it could buy what he needed most, a heart that matched Lily's. And the doctor's words kept echoing like thunder. 3 days. Studio microphone narrator tone, emotional and direct. But what no one knew, was that help was about to come from the last person anyone would expect, a boy who didn't even have a roof over his head. Before we get to that part, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles, because this story will remind you that heroes don't always wear capes, sometimes, they wear torn hoodies and carry hope in their hearts. Red Heart. Back to the story. That night, Edward sat in his private office inside the hospital, his hands buried in his hair. On the wall, photos of him and Lily, fishing trips, Christmas mornings, her first piano recital, stared down at him like ghosts. "Mr. Morgan," said his assistant softly. "The donor search is global now. We've offered $500,000 to any hospital that finds a match." "Make it $1 million," Edward said hoarsely. "Just find someone, please." But fate had gone silent. Meanwhile, a few blocks away, under the 6th Street Bridge, a 17-year-old boy named Eli Parker huddled beside a trash can fire. Torn jeans, ripped sneakers, and a faded hoodie were all he owned. He had no parents, no home, just a small stray dog named Rusty, and a heart that still believed in doing good. Eli had been on the streets since 14, after his mom's overdose left him alone. He survived by fixing old bikes and collecting cans. But even in that darkness, he never stopped helping others, sharing food with other kids, giving away his blanket to someone colder than him. That night, as he flipped through a discarded newspaper, a headline caught his eye. "Millionaire offers $1 million for daughter's heart donor." He read it twice, frowning. 3 days left, poor girl, he muttered, feeding Rusty a piece of bread. Guess money can't buy everything. But what happened next would change both their lives forever. The next morning, while scavenging behind a clinic dumpster, Eli noticed a group of nurses smoking on break. They were talking about the Morgan girl. "I heard the match is impossible," one said. "It's some rare blood combination. AB negative with a specific enzyme type." Eli froze. That sounded familiar. He rummaged through his backpack and pulled out an old clinic card from 2 years ago, one of the few times he'd ever seen a doctor for malnutrition. On the back, it listed his blood type, AB negative. His heart pounded. No way. He ran to the free clinic. "Please," he begged the nurse, "I need to check something. I might be a donor for that girl in the paper." The nurse frowned. "Sweetheart, do you even know what that means? You could die." "I don't care," Eli shouted. "She's dying too. Just test me." Moved by his desperation, the nurse made a few calls. Within hours, the hospital confirmed it. Eli Parker, the homeless kid from 6th Street, was a 100% match for Lily Morgan. When Edward heard the news, he couldn't believe it. "Who?" he asked, standing abruptly. "Who is this donor?" A street kid, sir. 17. No family. Says he's willing to donate." Edward blinked. A street kid? Why would someone like that, someone with nothing, risk his life for a girl he'd never met? He ordered his driver to bring the boy in. When Eli walked into the pristine hospital lobby, everyone stared. His shoes squeaked, his hoodie was dirty, and he looked painfully out of place among the suits and luxury handbags. Edward studied him like a puzzle. "You're the one who wants to donate to my daughter?" "Yes, sir," Eli said quietly. "If it'll save her life." "Do you even understand what you're offering? It's major surgery." "You could." "I know," Eli cut in. "But she doesn't deserve to die just because she was born rich. Nobody does." For the first time in years, Edward Morgan, the man who built empires and crushed competitors, had no words. That night, he sat outside Lily's ICU room, staring at Eli through the glass. The boy was sitting cross-legged on a hospital bench, feeding Rusty from a paper cup. Edward turned to the doctor. "If this transplant works, he'll live, right?" The doctor hesitated. "It's complicated. He'll lose part of his heart function. It's risky for both patients. But he insists." "Then I'll make sure he never has to live on the streets again," Edward said firmly. "Whatever it takes." But deep down, he was terrified. Hours later, Eli was allowed to see Lily through the ICU window. She looked fragile, like porcelain, her blonde hair spread on the pillow. Machines hummed softly beside her. He pressed a hand against the glass and whispered, "Hang in there, okay? I've got you." The nurse beside him smiled sadly. "You're a good kid, Eli." He shook his head. "Just trying to do something right for once." But destiny had one more cruel twist waiting. That night, a thunderstorm tore across the city. The power flickered. And in the chaos, Edward got a call that froze his blood. The doctor's voice was urgent. "Mr. Morgan, the surgery can't proceed tomorrow." "What? Why?" "The donor, Eli, he's gone. He disappeared." The next morning, chaos erupted. Police were called. Reporters swarmed the hospital. Edward slammed his fist on the table. "Find that boy. We don't have time." Hours passed. Then, late that evening, a police officer walked in holding something, a small, dirt-stained backpack. Inside was a note. It said, "Tell Lily I'm sorry. I can't give her my heart. Not yet. I have to find someone first. Eli." Edward's hands trembled as he read it. Find someone? Who? What does this mean? Meanwhile, far from the city, Eli was running through abandoned train yards with Rusty at his side, clutching an old photograph, a woman with kind eyes and a baby in her arms. His mother. A few days before, he'd overheard something at the clinic. His mom might still be alive, under a fake name at a rehab center in another state. He had to know the truth. But every mile he traveled, Lily's face haunted him. The clock was ticking. 3 days were now 1.5. He finally reached a small clinic outside Denver, out of breath. When the nurse showed him a photo, his knees buckled. It was her. His mother, alive, barely, but alive. She had the same rare blood type. Tears streamed down his face. She could be the match too. He called the hospital immediately. "Doctor. I found someone else who can help Lily. My mom, she's alive." The doctor's shocked voice crackled through the line. "Eli, that's incredible. But if she's in recovery, are you sure?" "She'll do it," Eli said, his voice breaking. "She always said saving someone is never a loss." And as he hung up, lightning split the sky. Rusty barked at the clouds. Eli looked toward the city lights in the distance and whispered, "Hang on, Lily. Just hang on." Because he was coming back, with a miracle.